Before the era of budget airlines and modern luxury coaches, there was one bus that promised to redefine American travel. Sleek, towering, and futuristic, it became the pride of Greyhound in the 1950s, a moving icon of the open road. But behind its glamorous chrome and panoramic windows was a story Greyhound didn't want passengers to know. From hidden engineering blunders to corporate rivalries and a downfall no one saw coming, the Scenicruiser's journey was anything but smooth. So, was this America's most beautiful bus, or one of its biggest transportation mistakes? 1. The Dream on Wheels. The Greyhound Scenicruiser was born in the early 1950s, when America was in love with the idea of the open road. Cars were getting bigger, highways were expanding, and bus travel was still seen as a stylish, affordable alternative to flying. Greyhound wanted something that would make travelers choose them over trains and planes, a flagship vehicle that screamed modern luxury. To bring this vision to life, Greyhound teamed up with General Motors, then at the peak of its design power. The result? A bus unlike anything the country had seen. 40 feet long, split into 2 levels, with a distinctive sloping rear roofline that made it look fast even when standing still. Inside, passengers got panoramic windows, reclining seats, air conditioning, and even a restroom, features that felt downright futuristic in the 1950s. Greyhound marketed it as the cruise of the future, and for a while, that's exactly how it felt. But hidden beneath its sleek exterior were engineering experiments that would soon backfire in ways no one predicted. 2. A radical design with a secret. From the outside, the Scenicruiser looked like pure innovation. That deck-and-a-half design wasn't just for style, it was meant to give passengers in the rear a higher vantage point, offering sweeping views of America's highways. The wraparound windshield up front made the driver feel like they were in a cockpit, while the large side windows made the ride feel open and airy. But the real secret was under the floor. Instead of one powerful diesel engine like most buses of the era, the Scenicruiser used 2 smaller Detroit diesel 4-cylinder engines, connected to a single transmission. On paper, it was brilliant. If one engine failed, the bus could limp to the next stop on the other. In reality, the setup was a maintenance nightmare. The synchronization had to be perfect. If one engine worked harder than the other, the entire system could shake itself apart. This twin-engine gamble was meant to save fuel and improve reliability, but it ended up being the Scenicruiser's Achilles heel. Greyhound had promised a smooth, luxurious ride, yet drivers and mechanics quickly learned that beneath the glamour was a machine that demanded constant attention, and occasionally left passengers stranded on the side of the road. 3. When the dream turned into a headache. At first, Greyhound marketed the Scenicruiser as the ultimate luxury travel experience, smooth, stylish, and futuristic. But within just a few years, that polished image started to crack. The dual-engine setup, once touted as a technical breakthrough, was causing breakdowns far more often than expected. Mechanics complained about how cramped and awkward it was to work on the engines, and drivers had to wrestle with a tricky transmission system that felt more like a stubborn puzzle than a piece of modern engineering. Passengers, meanwhile, were noticing the flaws too. Long-distance trips that were supposed to be seamless were sometimes interrupted by roadside delays, as frustrated crews tried to coax the bus back to life. And while the raised rear deck gave stunning views, it also amplified vibration and noise, hardly the quiet, relaxing journey Greyhound had promised. The situation got so bad that Greyhound had to issue a massive recall and retrofit program. They replaced the troublesome twin engines with a single, larger diesel unit, a fix that solved the reliability problem but came at a staggering cost. It was a humbling moment for a company that had positioned itself as the leader in highway innovation. 4. The unexpected pop culture star. Despite its mechanical headaches, the Scenicruiser didn't fade quietly into the background. It became a rolling symbol of mid-century Americana. Its futuristic 2-level profile showed up on postcards, travel brochures, and even in Hollywood films. To millions, it wasn't just a bus. It was the image of freedom on the open road. The Scenicruiser's sleek lines and panoramic windows made it an instant design icon, capturing the optimism of the 1950s, a time when Americans were fascinated with space-age styling and big ideas. Families traveling cross-country would often take photos in front of one, treating it almost like a roadside attraction. Greyhound leaned into this fame, using the Scenicruiser in advertisements that promised adventure, comfort, and modern luxury. Even as breakdowns became part of its real-life story, the public image remained untarnished for years. In pop culture, the Scenicruiser represented something bigger than transportation. It was a symbol of the promise of post-war America. 5. The fall from glory. By the mid-1960s, The shine had worn off. The Scenicruiser, once the pride of Greyhound's fleet, was becoming a mechanical liability. The unique two-engine setup had proven costly to maintain, and even after Greyhound swapped them for single Detroit diesel engines, the maintenance headaches didn't stop. Competition from airlines was growing, too. Cheap jet travel began luring away long-distance passengers, and the Greyhound experience, once seen as glamorous, started to feel outdated. On top of that, rising operating costs made it hard to justify keeping the Scenicruisers on the road. Greyhound quietly began phasing them out earlier than anyone expected. By the late 70s, many were sold off to smaller bus companies, converted into motorhomes, or simply scrapped. The very buses that once symbolized modern America were now fading into history, often abandoned in dusty lots or rusting behind depots. 6. The unlikely survivors. Even after their commercial days ended, the Greyhound Scenicruiser refused to completely disappear. A small but passionate group of collectors, restoration experts, and bus enthusiasts saw them not as outdated relics, but as rolling pieces of American history. Some purchased retired Scenicruisers for a few $100s and painstakingly restored them to their former glory, complete with panoramic windows, mid-century interiors, and gleaming aluminum sides. Others converted them into unique motorhomes, massive, road-going time capsules that turned heads at every stop. Today, only a fraction of the 1,001 built remain, and even fewer are still roadworthy. Those that survive often appear at vintage bus rallies or private collections, where they draw crowds just like they did in the 1950s. For many, they are a reminder of a time when road travel felt like an adventure, not just a commute. 7. The cultural legacy. The Greyhound Scenicruiser wasn't just a bus, it was a symbol. In postcards, travel brochures, and Hollywood films, it stood for freedom, modernity, and the open road. For Americans in the 1950s and 60s, spotting one pulling into a small-town station was a moment of excitement, a connection to a bigger world beyond their front porch. It represented the optimism of post-war America, when design, technology, and ambition blended to create something bold and new. Even its flaws have become part of its charm, a reminder that great ideas often come with imperfections. Today, whether parked in a museum or spotted rumbling along a highway during a vintage rally, the Scenicruiser still turns heads. It's not just nostalgia, it's respect for a machine that carried millions, told countless stories, and became an icon of the golden age of American travel. The Greyhound Scenicruiser's story is more than steel, glass, and horsepower. It's a snapshot of an America chasing the horizon. It was bold, flawed, and unforgettable, carrying dreams as well as passengers. And while its time on the highways eventually ended, its spirit still rides on, in the memories of those who traveled aboard, in the enthusiasts who restore them, and in the countless postcards and photographs that keep its legend alive. Because some machines don't just move people, they move history. You've been traveling with Gear Ghosts, where the past still rumbles, and every road has a story. Until we meet again, keep chasing the echoes.